Good afternoon, brothers and sisters. How are you all today? Why are you still thinking me? Oh, I see. I thought on the end. Okay, so we should start off with our tradition. So you look new. Yeah.
Look new.
Yeah. Would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us your name and how you got to know about this group. Yeah.
My name is Iwa.
Iwa. Okay.
Get to know online.
Oh, I see. Welcome. Online as in Google search or Facebook or what?
Just Facebook.
Or just Facebook, okay. Posted by your friend or?
All posted by you.
All posted. So you randomly just found me. Very good,
So you're the famous one.
Huh?
Famous one is
Really? How come I didn't know? Oh, I'm sad. No pressure. Welcome. How did you get this idea that I'm a famous monk? A lot more other famous monk. This one not famous. Only in your mind are famous. But welcome nonetheless. Welcome. Who else is new? I think you look new. Tell us your name and how you got to know this group. Let's see whether she also got to know because I'm a famous monk.
I'm Liz. I got to know you because Xiaobang told me about your podcast.
Ah, I see. And then?
And I've been listening to you regularly
Oh,
through the Facebook in the
I
past
see.
year or so.
Ah, I see. And finally, you decided, I must come today. Welcome, please. Okay, let's see. Who else is here? Any other people found me online? Okay. All right. The one in blue. Oh, Zhang Jie. Tell us. I just called out her name. Have you introduced yourself before? Or SGC? First time, right? Is it? No.
I joined online before.
You joined online before. Doesn't count. Okay. Introduce yourself again.
Good evening. Good afternoon, beautiful brothers and sisters. I'm Zhang Jie. This is my first time to come to a physical location.
So how did you start off with the SGC? I think, was it in NUS or?
NUS Buddhist Society.
Okay. Yeah. Good to see you. I was going to say online. Good to see you here. Yeah, welcome. So we've been having SGC for, let me see, since 2014, I think. Yeah. Okay. He's the producer. Emma is our camera woman. Now we are going pro. Multi-camera angle. There's one stationary, one directly, and then one roaming camera. Yeah. So we've been having this program for, I think, it should be around 2014. Yeah, thereabout. So today's setup is basically what it is. We have short puja, comprising Pali chanting, and then Chinese chanting, and then also short meditation, and like what they like to say, not so short Dharma sharing. Today's topic is quite long, Do you know today's topic? It's so long, I have to refer to the post. Today's topic, where's the Dharma ones? Yes. Oh, no, not this one. Today's topic happening now. Non-attachment, indifference, equanimity, and compassion. Yeah. And because today is the last, no, today is not the last, but today is the last session I'm doing for this month. Next week we are having a special speaker, Venerable Chuan Xian. Right? Yeah. So this week will be Ask Me Anything. Yeah, on this topic. So the topic is non-attachment, indifference, equanimity, and compassion. Yeah. So I will just speak a bit on this topic, and then you can ask questions. Okay? Yeah. As you all know, the classes I conduct tend to be riddled with questions. I think questions are important. Yeah, especially the asking part. Well, the answering part is important also. Yeah, but asking questions is important in the learning of Dharma. Yeah, because then can be clarified. Before we learn Dharma, there may be certain questions or doubts we have about the teachings. Yeah. So today's topic, non-attachment, indifference, equanimity, and compassion. I think actually this is a theme that we have visited and revisited many, many times. Yeah. And it has to do with how many a times we, as we learn more Dharma, it feels as though at some point we are supposed to become indifferent, non-attachment. And in fact, many years back, when I was first conducting the Heart Sutra class, there was a student who came up to me to share her own experience. That was, I think, one of the first run of Heart Sutra workshop, way back in 2006. It was at the Praspasa, what is that? I think it was at Praspasa, the awareness place. Back then, it was not 10 lessons, it was 4 lessons, 5 hours each. Yeah, literally like 5 hours. And as you know, I don't stick to 5 hours, I extend some. So it was like 8:30 to like 1, 2 o'clock. Oh, actually, that's not 5 hours, that's like 6 hours. Or about there, like 5 or 5. In any case, one day, second or third lesson, this student came up to me and asked me, after trying out the exercise of contemplation, she finds herself somewhat distant from her friends, her peers, and even her family. And she was a bit concerned, like, is this the right direction? Or is she doing it right at the first place? Why is it that you start to feel that way? Some of us may have experienced this also, or maybe have heard of others in this way. Or perhaps we may have observed some friends who, after learning Dharma, then seem to be a bit distant, to say the least. But yet, on the other hand, we learn about those wonderful, beautiful qualities like love, compassion that the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas exudes. So why is there this disconnect? Are we supposed to be this way or that way? But wouldn't loving more, caring more, having compassion also lead us to attachment? Wouldn't that mean that we actually feel more for their ups and downs, and as a result, isn't that exactly what we are suffering over? So sometimes perhaps we may have this question. In fact, I've heard someone ask the question about how do the fact that Bodhisattvas care so much about sentient beings, do they then suffer? Because it logically makes sense, right? If you care about all the sentient beings, and given that there are so many sentient beings, and then sentient beings are always getting themselves into trouble, then wouldn't the Bodhisattvas day be full of like, ayah, again, ayah, you know? Yeah. And then that's just one part of it, right? Because even when we are not trying to harm ourselves or others, then there's all the disasters. Like for example, COVID-19 now, you know. Well, but as my teacher always say, whenever my teacher is asked questions about that is very macroscopic, yeah, that is like some big major event, he would say, 观世音菩萨也知道这件事情，观世音菩萨不出声。Then he would say, you know that who is he to say anything? My teacher always say that. So I suspect if he's still alive today, and someone asks him, 没有紧张，师父慈悲，关于这个疫情，这个是怎么一回事？And I think my teacher was probably still say the same thing. But so, how? Do you all experience this, what I've described earlier? Yeah. So how do we strike a balance? Or is there really a need for a balance? I can only say that, for one, the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and even Arahants, yeah, they do care for others. They do care for others. We see, and notice that I say, and even the Arahants, because there's a misconception that Arahants are not compassionate and they don't care. Yeah, that they only care about their own liberation. My teacher, while he is ordained in the Chinese Mahayana tradition and trained in as traditional way as it gets, he often highlights to us to remember that Arahants are enlightened ones. So we see in the Pali Canon evidences of the Arahants caring. Take for example, Venerable Sariputra. Yeah, before his final passing, he reflected on how his own mother has not attained even Sotapanna, has not even had faith in the Buddha, Dhamma, and the Sangha. So he chose to go back to his hometown to visit his mother and spend the last night at his mother's place. Imagine Venerable Sariputra, the chief disciple, chief in wisdom among all the Buddha's disciples. Instead of doing what most people think Arahants would do, Arahants, mother don't attend enlightenment, well, so be it. That's your problem, you foolish woman. But the Venerable Sariputra don't do that. He thought, but he also don't go back and just drown her with Dhamma, you know. After all, he's seen in the Pali Canon as being very having mastery over the teachings and being able to elucidate, explain, and teach. In fact, in some suttas, the Buddha even said that in the absence of the Buddha, Venerable Sariputra can teach in his absence. It is to that extent that the Buddha would speak in praise of him. And yet, in all those years since Venerable Sariputra attained enlightenment, we don't see any concerted effort to say, Dhamma, come and attend Dhamma class. Yeah, we don't see that. So, but on the very last, towards the end, you see, now the time is right. So he went to his mother's place, stayed overnight. But still, when you look at the text describing that last night, it's very interesting. He didn't give her Dhamma teaching. Yeah, just by staying there for the night itself was sufficient. Because that night, various heavenly beings came to pay their last respects to the great Venerable Sariputta. Yeah. And so the mother, because it was her house, so it was said, it was said, I wasn't there, and if I were there, I can't remember anymore. But it was said that the mother saw the various devas in the form of light. Yeah. And she was most amazed, like, wow, what is going on, you know? So until towards the end of the night, nearing daybreak, then the mother came and asked, like, wow, how wonderful, like, who were those people? So, or who was that, whoever that came, you know? Then Venerable Sariputta told her that, oh, that is the great Brahma. Yeah. And then she was like, huh? The Brahma that she worshipped actually come and pay respect to my son? Yeah. And then it was said that at that moment, Venerable Sariputta know that faith has been instilled in the mother. Then he told her, okay, please leave the room, and then he entered Parinibbana. Yeah. So, and this is just one instance. There are many other suttas that describe how the Buddha, in the morning, he would observe the world, he would scan the world and see who is ready for the teaching, who is ready to be awakened, yeah, or who is about to do something foolish. Yeah, the two extremes. My teacher once told us this, and I think it parallels what we observe in the Pali Canon. My teacher says, we are very devoted to the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas. But how come not everybody see the Buddhas or the Bodhisattvas? Do you all want to see the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas? How many of you raise your hand? Very simple, no? The statue is behind. I'll come to Buddhist library more often. There you can see. And you all say, Jay. Yeah. Because you all discriminate that that's just a statue. Yeah. But in the Buddha's time, people do want to really see the Buddha. And then even now, can you all see the Buddha in person? Too bad, cannot. Maybe you can see the drips. Maybe you can see the drips. But don't spend time dreaming. My teacher said there are two categories of individuals who get to see the Buddha and the Bodhisattvas. The first category are those who, maybe it's two or three. Maybe three. The first category are those who have attained enlightenment. Yeah. So when you attain enlightenment, then they come and congratulate you. Yeah. It's like when you are studying in the university, you don't see all the professors, right? Convocation time. Wow, so many professors all wear all the gown and everything. I'm not saying that when you attain enlightenment, there's a convocation. Okay. Later when you attain enlightenment, hey, where's Venerable Chuan Kuan? Where's my convocation? No, but according to the text, it does describe that 诸佛拥护, 诸佛菩萨拥护, that they will come and rejoice in your attainment. But my teacher also highlighted that prior to that, if let's say you are on the verge of a breakthrough already, yeah, but somehow maybe you have some obstacle, then the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas observe, this person is capable of breakthrough, then they will come and guide you. So this is one reason why you will get to see the Buddhas or Bodhisattvas. So far, have you all seen the Buddha and Bodhisattvas? No, so you are not the first category. Then the next category is those who are about to do very extreme stupid things. Yeah. Upon which they will go down, deep down somewhere. Then the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas see, this person about to do stupid things. Quick, go and guide this person. like from the sutta we see parable Angulimala. Yeah, so quickly go and interject. So they all see the Buddha, Bodhisattvas? No. So you also don't belong to this category. Or maybe Buddha, Bodhisattvas see that you are about to do, but no cure. So then there are cases where cannot help. Yeah. So my teacher says that the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas don't anyhow just appear. Yeah. But of course, if you go and search my teacher's talks recording, you don't hear him say anyhow, okay? Because he speaks in Mandarin. Yeah. So you can see clearly that the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, and even the Arahants, they have compassion. And the Buddha did teach compassion. But what is the difference between their compassion and our compassion? The difference is they are compassionate, truly compassionate, because they do it without attachment. They do it without identifying with the being as a tangible being. And because without that identification, further, without this is my who. Yeah. This is the person I save, I help. Without this kind of thought. Without the kind of thought, oh, this is my dear friend. This is my dear mother, my dear father. This is my something. No. Yeah. This is my teacher, this is my student, this is my shifu, this is my whoever. They don't help in this way. They also don't help in what way? That I am the one who is helping. Long time ago, I heard of and learned the teaching on San Lun Ti Kong, emptiness in terms of the doer, the recipient, and the act. The act can refer to the act itself or the object that is being transferred. So when I first learned it, it was very, how do I call it? Very sympathetic. Yeah. Very clinical, very synthetic. So purely just, okay, contemplate, fire aggregates, empty in nature, blah, 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 break down. Yeah. But over time, as I reflect on it and I try to so-called apply it, then I realized that, especially in terms of the doer attachment is not simply saying, oh, you're attached to me being in existence. But even more importantly, attached to that it must be I doing it. We unenlightened beings, we have this tendency. When we are attached to the recipient, that is also not simply saying, oh, that sentient being exists. But it is that it must be that sentient being. Then we do. Yeah. And it must be me doing. Then the person can benefit. We have this kind of funny ideas. Yeah. Must be done by me. Shifu, do you want water? Must be offered by me. Okay, I drink. Yeah, we have this tendency. Yeah. And so normally when we act in this way, no problem. Normally. Problem comes when other people also want to help. Then how? Are we able to say, well, as long as the person can help, it's okay. Yeah. Have you ever gone to the doctor and then two doctors fight? Hey, my patient, no, I'm supposed to operate. Yeah. Or have you ever seen a news saying, this is, what is the news nowadays? Channel News Asia. It's Channel News Asia. At Tanjong Pagar, there's a fire. It's raging on for hours. The fire brigade has arrived, but they are not able to put out the fire. We'd like to ask some eyewitnesses. So what's going on here? Oh, they arrived 3 hours ago, but they are from 2 different fire stations. So they have been fighting over who should be putting out the fire. They were claiming ownership of the fire. So they say that this fire, This is the type of fire that we put out. Only we put out. You cannot put out. So then we're fighting over it. I think you don't need to be enlightened to realize how ridiculous it is. And to me, this is very important. That to be able to act with at least lesser attachment or not so aggravated attachment is not something that is only relegated to the Buddha, Bodhisattvas, and Arahant. That even in real life, we can see people acting selflessly. We don't need to imagine that, oh, it must be the Buddha appearing in the world, the Bodhisattvas floating around in the sky, then, oh, only these beings are able to act selflessly, able to care without attachment. Yeah. No, I think many ordinary folks, just like you and me, can do it. The Dharma, as the Buddha said, is not something that is only applicable for some special being, Yeah. We can do it. The trouble is, we tend not to do it. That's why when we see people do it, we're like, wow, so admirable. But the person being able to do it is not that the person got one extra horn here, It's that the person at that moment stopped thinking about themselves. Then they are able to do remarkable things. Too many instances. Yeah. If you recall, one of the SQ flight in Taiwan, right? Yeah, and the air stewardess. Yeah, I mean, when I saw the news, it's very touching, And I sometimes wonder to myself, as much as we learn and practice, will I be able to do that? I hope I will be able to. Yeah. But you never know. And don't think you cannot. You never know as well. If you think you can, think again. You never know. Maybe you cannot. Don't be so proud. You're thinking that, oh, I learned so much Dharma. Oh, But also don't think later of yourself, thinking that, oh, this is something beyond me. I'm incapable of that. You never know. When it happens, it happens. Yeah. You read from the reports how she went in and out to make sure that people, get up safely, really living up to the service standard. You can always say that, well, that's their job. Yeah, but that's her life, How many people would still stand by their station to do their job? In lesser circumstances, people don't do their job already. That's why now there's an internet meme, right? You have one job, right? Right? Online, there's a lot of funny memes about people who somehow, like their job comprises that one thing and they do it wrongly. So it's not true, no. Just because it's people's job that they will do it properly. It's not true. But there are individuals such as the air stewardess who, I would say, go above and beyond the job. As much as if you look at the training instructions in case of emergency, yes, that's their duty. Yeah. But how many people will stick to their duty? Yeah. But that can only happen if, on a day-to-day basis, we work on ourselves. If on a day-to-day basis we succumb to our own ego, we just consider how we feel, what we think, what I like, first and foremost, than anything else, then hard to be able to accomplish that. I don't say it's impossible, but hard, very hard. Yeah, very hard. So, of course, fortunately, we don't have to be called upon to do that on a daily basis. But each of us have our own fire to fight, right? Each of us have our moment of truth, to reckon with, to consider. Do I go down path A or path B? Like RPGs. Every decision you make will determine whether you are an evil cleric or a righteous elf or something. Some of the online participants were like, did I watch the wrong channel? No, wait, this is still Dharma, this is still Dharma. So I want to open to the floor now to let you all ask questions pertaining to this topic. Any questions? See that, oh, Li Hui, right? Brave adventurer steps forth, take up the quest. Hello, adventurer. What is your question?
Today, I shared with my friend, I learned Buddhist a bit about like spiritual knowledge and all. Then I said like, oh, maybe one day when I want Taiwan. Oh, yeah, there's a possibility that like I want to like practice as like a nun, or like even like stay on my own now, that kind. Then she was like, oh, why? I'm not sure whether it's very related to the topic. But she said like, what if whatever you're doing, right, causes like more suffering to the people around you? Then in your pursuit to end your own suffering, then what if it causes like more suffering to people around you? Then will you still do it? Then I told her, oh, depends, right? I said like, if it really, cause I'll probably pause. I told her I'll probably pause whatever I'm doing and see what's happening first. Then I could see. I think she was like, okay, what's happening? Yeah, so I think I'm not super sure it is very related to this topic. But
hang on. Are you switching for Facebook Live to see her?
It's a 3-screen.
3-screen. Okay, good. Nice. Very pro producer. Like, continue your question. You're not sure about.
I'm not sure if it is very related to the topic, but I guess my question was like, I'm not very sure, like how else, like how to approach this. Yeah. Because even I myself, I'm not very sure whether it's like a come on mistake. Then when she was asking me like what is using so and like why, it sounds very pessimistic, like oh so much suffering I just want to kill out of it. Then like yeah. So yeah. Sorry, it was just like I didn't know whether there was like a good way to answer her. Because even I myself also not very sure what the answer is. Yeah, because I think I don't think my family or my friends will be very like
Supportive.
Yeah, supportive. Yeah. I don't know whether it's like the most ideal. Yeah.
Well, for a start, thank you for your sharing and question. I think it's most relevant to the topic at hand. On one level, pertaining to what you asked, indeed, for I think for many families, let's divide them into family and friends. Okay, I think for many people to consider the possibility of one's family living apart from us is never an easy thing to consider. Yeah. So just consider the physical separation first. Okay. Let's put aside the reasons, yeah, the cause itself. So because it applies to other cases, isn't it? If let's say now instead of choosing to practice as a nun or by yourself, if you choose to say, hey, I want to go to some remote countries to serve as a doctor in future, and as a result, you'll be away for years and I think your families would also have concerns, right? So this tells me that the concern is not so much about the religion, yeah, not just about the religion, but the fact that you have to be physically separated, yeah. And I will go further to say that even if it's not going away for work, if let's say you find yourselves a boy who is not from Singapore, or you found a boy who is from Singapore, but the two of you, boy to girl, decide that, oh, you want to run off somewhere in some remote countries and stay there, then your mama will also be like, what happened to my girl? Right? Yeah, so this is a very natural, understandable concern. Yeah, that goes above and beyond the choice of practicing as a nun or by yourself. But on top of that, if your choice were to go out to work versus getting married and then as a result having to migrate, and that will still be quite in a way common decision, you know. And because it's a common decision, we tend to feel more comfortable with it. Yeah, it is like how, because in Singapore we are so used to Dali and Colgate, so you know every time you see Dali Colgate, you feel like, yeah, it's okay to put this foreign taste into your mouth and start brushing, right? But if you grew up in another country where these two brands is not common, or maybe even the whole concept of brushing your teeth with toothpaste is not common, then when someone says, hey, we're going to try this, like, oh, what am I supposed to do with this, right? Now, of course, just thinking about it seems to make sense, but if it will, the impact will be even greater if you literally grew up in a place or in a society where nobody brushed their teeth. Not because they're not hygienic, but because maybe they somehow found a more efficient way. You know, wake up, just stare at a mirror, it shines ultraviolet ray or something, UV light, so just, you know, like everything is done. You just turn around, then everything done already, right? Then for such a civilization or a society to tell them to put some paste in their mouth and brush around, possibly damaging your gums, it'd be quite a crazy idea. Yeah. Throughout history, those who take the untrodden path or less trodden path is often looked upon with disdain. Yeah. And only celebrated when they come back successful. Before geniuses are heralded as geniuses, they are often seen as heretics or idiots. You know, scientists knows this best. Yeah, because to make a discovery, you must always try something that nobody thought of yet. And because nobody thought of it, nobody can make sense of it. And in all likelihood, people are like, oh, what? You know? Yeah. So the question is whether we ourselves see the purpose, the end goal. Do we see the value in that pursuit at the end? Because if we ourselves cannot see it, then nobody else is likely to be convinced otherwise. Yeah. But then we go further. We go further and say, okay, but what if somebody is just annoyed or upset with the choice, regardless of how amazing the choice is? right? And it applies to whether it is to practice as a nun or monk for that matter, practice by yourself, or pursuit of some career choices or marital choices. Or for that matter, maybe you just want to go and climb Mount Kinabalu for the 1,500 times. Maybe your pursuit in life is that you want to climb not Mount Everest. You are not interested in Mount Everest. Like, who cares about Mount Everest? I want to climb Kota Kinabalu. Yeah, or maybe your choice is Mount Faber. Yeah, I mean we love, right? Because like well, it's just a day, like half a day hike up. Yeah, but your aim is not simply climb up half a day. Your aim is to climb it 1 million times. Yeah, because you calculated Mount Everest is that high, you climb 1 million times is equal to Mount Everest. So you decided to do it the quantitative way instead of qualitative way. No? Yeah, who knows, right? But whatever your pursuit, there may be someone who is upset, someone who is not happy with it, someone who is hurt because of that. So this is another side of the argument, which is, should we then change or stop what we are doing simply because someone don't like it? Simply because someone don't like it, for no other reason besides that the person feels, no, I don't like what you are doing. If you ask me, I will tell you what the 20-plus-year-old me discovered one day. One day I told my mom and my younger sister, I just come to this realization that no matter what you do, there will be someone who is not happy. So I told them, I said, I decided that I will stop trying to please everybody. And this is the exact thing I told them. I said, because even if I'm a stone, someone will come along and kick me to the side and feel that I'm getting it that way. Of course, there's a fine line between realizing that you don't have to please everybody versus realizing that you can go and upset everybody. Don't do the latter, okay? Don't do the latter. And I would say pursuing the path of nunhood, to practice as a nun, or to even practice in solitude. The aim is never to upset anybody. If anybody gets upset, I would say it is incidental. But I'll tell you, I have encountered many students who tell me that they have to attend classes in secrecy. Yeah, those of you who are watching online, you probably know who you are. Yeah, and that's why you're watching online, because you cannot come. And you're probably watching in the future because you probably cannot watch on Sunday because your mother, your husband, your wife, your whoever would get upset if you let them know. So you're probably watching it in a toilet. Yeah. And it's, I will tell you this. These are not students who are like young kids, you know. Yeah. They are in their, some of them are in their 40s, some are in their 50s or even 60s. Yeah. On one hand, I would say it's a very beautiful thing. Beautiful in what sense? Not the part about their family members opposing them, but beautiful in that they care so much about their family members that they value how they feel, what they think, that they are willing to change themselves. I say it's beautiful because this is one part that is never quite part of me. And then when I was younger, I don't think it's beautiful. I think it's stupid. Yeah, I'll be very frank. When I was younger, I feel like, oh, stupid. But maybe it's age, you know. Now I feel that it's very beautiful because to care for someone, that you put your choice apart. I think to be able to do that is beautiful. Whether you should do that or not, that's another thing. The fact that they did do it, it means that there's the part that they are able to do. So I'm only saying that the ability to do it is beautiful. Because it's not always the case that you should do it. Like for example, if you like to do charity, yeah. So now you see, I'm shifting different part of the variables, and this has always been my approach. A scenario, you tweak different variables and see whether the premise still holds. Still see whether the angle changes. So just now I changed, I disconnect the act itself. Then now I say, hey, what if we shift it further to say something that is blatantly correct? Do charity, and not at the expense of your own well-being. Okay. And if your family members say, "Oh, you're so stupid, go and do charity," then are you going to then simply stop because someone say that's stupid, or someone got upset? Yeah. What if you are crossing the road with your family members, and then there's this amma who trip and fall, and then you go out and help, and then your family members say, "Hey, stupid." Then are you going to say, "Oh yeah, my mother say it's stupid, so I don't help." And then there's a truck coming. Yeah. Pardon me, but I always go extreme. Because if the principle hold, it should still hold, no matter how extreme. Right? Imagine now if you're along the street, right? Yeah, and your mother or father or whoever always say, don't be busybody. Right? And then you see this kid trip and fall. Yeah. And then there's a truck coming. I'm going to say, truck coming. Then, but if I get involved, later my father could scold me how? Are you going to do that? It's as simple as that. And I hope whether those who are live here or those who are online would agree with me that you should just help the amma or the kid, regardless of whether your father or mother get upset. Because deep down inside, you know that it's the right thing to do. And if it's the right thing to do, and your parents or whoever, your family or friends or whoever oppose it, then you know that they are wrong. It must be that way. And the only reason why we feel conflicted is because they mean something to us. But it also means that we are making a wrong decision because of emotions. We are letting our attachment to them color the way we look at right and wrong. And if you were to ask me, to be very truthful, we are just concerned about whether they continue to like us. It's that simple. So you have to ask yourself, which is more important? For your family and friends to continue to like us, to be in their favor? Or is it more important to do what you think is right? Then I think it'll be quite clear. And coming back full circle to the topic at hand, I think perhaps especially so, it's important for us to be able to care and love others without that attachment. Because with that attachment, you have to realize oftentimes actually we are not attached to them. We're attached to how they make us feel. If you are really honest with it. Yeah. Thank you for the question. So go forth. Oh none. The hand never come down. Yeah, because not Buddha, not the disciple. Yes, Casey, live. Casey has a question. Yes, hello.
When you talk about giving and doing things for others, does there come a time when you get taken advantage of? Does there come a time when you should draw a line somewhere? But then again, if you do that, how about non-self? Because it is non-self, you're not supposed to draw a line off. So yeah.
That's a very interesting question. So let me see. which one should we tackle first? The non-self part or the drawing line part? Let me tackle the non-self part first. Okay. So as we all know, there's a teaching anicca, dukkha, anatta, shunyata, right? So anatta, no self, or not self. And there's this ongoing debate online about whether it's not self or no self. I think during the conference I mentioned about how it's just like Superman, you know. If you say that there's Superman and we say, try to find Superman and we say, oh, are you Superman? But do you have all the qualities of Superman? No. How about you? No, no, no. So all of you are not Superman. And because we cannot find anybody who fit in with Superman, so we say there's no Superman. So actually both are correct. No self or not self. So then if we all agree with this teaching that there's no self or nothing that fits in with self, then does it mean that we don't draw a line? Not true, actually. It just means that we don't draw the line because of self. But instead, when we truly appreciate no self, then we know when to draw the line that is most effective and most beneficial. Yeah. Because we stop worrying about the self. That actually is not how we think. More importantly, again, it's about the fact that we are attached to our own interests above and beyond everything. No self doesn't mean that we don't consider the pros and cons of things. Yeah. It just means that we can truly see the benefit for all parties involved. Yeah. So just now I said there are two parts, right? That seems to solve a part already. So I want to bring in the other part, which is, but most of us haven't reached non-self yet, right? So how? So there's a self. So I have been in recent years telling people this. Do what you can while you aspire towards what you cannot, but what is right. So what is it that is right, but what you cannot? So it is the state of the enlightened ones. You currently cannot, because you're not enlightened, but it's right. So you should aspire towards it. But what must you be doing? You must do what you can currently. Yeah. The Buddha was able to sacrifice his life. That air stewardess was able to do it. How many of you can do it? Hey, but Sifu, shouldn't you encourage us to do it? No, I don't have to encourage you. Because if you truly can do it, you'll do it and save people. But if you cannot do it, then in the end you get stuck there in the corridor, you know. Want to save, don't want to save, then you panic. Because maybe at this point, you only have the capacity to save someone nearby and then run for your life. Then you try to do what you cannot. Then you go there, then kalang kabut, and in the end everybody gets trapped. More people die because of you. So better do what you can. But even more importantly, I realized over the years that there are a lot of kind Buddhists who go around guilt-tripping people, you know. Give you an example, donation of organs. You know, yeah, after you die, donate organs. Then you know some kind Buddhists go around. But shouldn't we as Buddhists be selfless and not attached? And then, after all we die, then you go and cremate, then all this useless, right? Why don't you give up? Don't be so selfish, or guilt-tripping people. So whenever I hear this, my counter is, so while you are alive, do you donate? Do you sell away your HDB and give away all your money? You also don't want. Then why are you asking people to give away their whole body? Right or not? The Buddha, while he teaches us to develop wholesome qualities, including and exceeding generosity, kindness, giving and so on. But he don't say that if you don't give, then you are a criminal, right? He don't say that. But he even give you a whole spectrum whereby even down to the lowest. And he say even that is meritorious. Yeah, to the point where even if you wash your arms bowl or the dishes in your case, and you pour away the water, but before you pour, you have this thought: may whatever creature is able to consume this, benefit from this water. Even just doing that is meritorious. But nowadays cannot, because we use detergent. We use detergent, pour away, everybody die. Yeah. So I always like to highlight this: do within your means. Yeah. In all the different practices, do within your means. But just like going to the gym, what do I mean by do within your means? It means that, like for example, although I always use gym as an example, I can count the number of times I've been to a gym, like with my 2 hands. I'm serious. My whole life, you know. Yeah. And that's kind of came to a standstill once I ordained. So that's basically my whole 20 over years, you know. But I always use the gym as an example. So don't be mistaken, okay? Thinking, oh, Sifu last time must be pumping iron. No. My family, no. They never hear me say go to the gym before. But imagine when you go to the gym, let's say you're able to carry, you see, I don't even know what is a reasonable number. I was going to say 10 kg. I'm like, maybe 10 kg is too low. Is it too high or too low? You go to the gym? Oh, I see. Yeah. Like, what is like, you know, something that when you carry, people don't look at you like, oh, why wasting time? Yeah. At least impress people a bit.
How much depends on the exercise. If squat can be high.
Oh, you see, pro. This one have experience. So let's say reps like this, bicep, right? Tricep. Right? I know the pattern. I just don't do it.
For beginners, maybe around 5 to 10 kg.
Oh, so just 5 to 10 kg. So he's going for the cut. So you do more reps, yeah. Lower weight, higher cut, right? Because last time I read pumping iron. I know such thing. But I never got to going to the gym. So imagine when you start off, you do 5 to 10 kg. Then, but if you just keep doing that, what will happen?
At some point, your
growth will stop because if you max out, you know. So then you need to once in a while do more than what you can, right? And of course, if you have a what you call it, instructor or the trainer, if you have a trainer, the coach, then the coach will know when to push you a bit more, and then go down, push a bit more, go down, and there's a lot of parallel here. Even for spiritual practice, we don't say, oh, because I'm not enlightened, so all I can do is this, so I'm selfish, so be it. I'm selfish or I'm not enlightened. Yeah. But we also don't say, oh, I want to be enlightened, so I just go and sacrifice myself. Why is it important not to do the latter as well? Because if you do the latter, the question is, how long can you do? What I'm most afraid of is when you can do it for a long time. You know why? Because when you do it, even though you are not able to do it, we will have all kinds of funny expectations, either of yourself or others. You're expecting that you will have some miraculous breakthrough because of doing all these sacrifices. Or you are expecting people to reciprocate your sacrifices. And when it doesn't happen, by the time you sit down and think about it, resentment has set in. Resentment has set in. So do it consciously if you want to go beyond what you can do. Consciously meaning you know that you are going beyond your ability. But that means with the right expectations, that doing this doesn't give you some miraculous cure, you know, that you will suddenly boom, have a boost in your progress. And at the same time, you must know that while you do it, you cannot expect people to then do something else. No, they are not invited also. The front part is easy. The front part about saying, oh, we shouldn't just give ourselves excuses. I'm not invited, not so invited. Shouldn't be like that. Yeah. Do within your means, and once in a while, push yourself a bit further. As far as the case of giving or rendering help is concerned, in many talks, students have asked, is it, and especially in the context of filial piety, to give to one's parents. Some students ask, is it always wise to give them money? Yeah. And I tell them, sadly, not always. Yeah, not always. Especially if our parents are not able to make prudent financial decisions. Yeah. And it's not always about them gambling it away. Sometimes it is, yeah, but other times it is that they are gullible. It's not about being pure of heart and then giving it away. It's that anytime Dick and Harry send them a text and say, oh, your son is kidnapped by us, send us $10,000. How? I must send. Yeah? But don't laugh. At our age, most of us are maybe about between 30 to 40, 50 years old. We are still sound of mind, and we are, because most of the things are under our control, yeah, within a certain range, so we feel internally stable. But as we grow older, our health starts to weaken, and then many things start to go a bit off control, then our a sense of uncertainty increase on a daily basis. It's not like something that just chronically happened, but it's just the sense of unease that keep on creeping in, you know, and it affects our cognitive ability. Yeah, not that old people are stupid, but when everything is already not within their control, and then suddenly they receive a message that a bigger thing, then they cannot make the right decision. Yeah. So in such cases, it is also not wise to just give them. Yeah, not wise. But it requires us to practice tough love. Yeah. Because when your family and friends come to you, cry, yeah, can you say no to them? Not so easy. And unfortunately, at such circumstances, then again, emotional blackmail. Yeah. If you don't give me, it's because you don't love me. Yeah. Children say this, parents say this, everybody will say this. Anytime anybody say, you don't do X because you don't love me, you tell them, so be it. If you don't understand my love, then too bad. Yeah. Or better still, tell them, well, if you love me, you wouldn't be putting me in a spot. A few days later, I get a lot of hate mail. What have you done to my wife, my husband, my children? Thank you for the question. I think this is something that we'll definitely revisit time and again. Yeah. But that's the Dharma, isn't it? Dharma is about our life. Apart from our day-to-day life, there's really no Dharma to talk about. Yeah. And it's really when we truly explore how we use the Dharma in our daily life, that we bring it up from from people's wrong perception. Yeah. to make it alive. There will be those who have misconception, but don't be afraid of misconceptions. The fact that there are people who have misconceptions is also because they took notice of Buddhism. You cannot have misconceptions about something that you don't even bother about, right? Yeah. So I tend to not be too upset when people have misconceptions. I always find that that's an opening, that's an avenue, that's an opportunity for me to say, come, let's sit down, let's have tea. Tell me about what you think about Buddhism. Because many years ago, when I was in US, in one of these 1 month solitude retreat, I encountered this American. I decided one day to take a walk up the mountain, and as I just started my walk. I haven't even do my walk. I just started my walk. Or somewhere at the start, and I encountered this American, and he had his sunglasses, and he was walking past. We were walking past each other, and suddenly I heard a shout, "Hey, are you a Buddhist monk?" And I was like, "Me? Yeah, yeah, I guess so. Yeah." Last I checked, and then he started like. Well, he didn't spew vulgarities, but he was visibly agitated, aggressive. He had his sunglasses and he was arms crossed. Yeah, and he was like, "Do you know that the Buddha is an annihilist?" And I was like, "I didn't know that." And it's like, "Yeah, he's an annihilist." I was like, "Oh, where do you hear that from?" So he said, "There's this book. It says that the Buddha is an annihilist." I was like, "Oh, what's the title of the book?" Then he mentioned some title, and I was like, "Well, not too sure about that book, but last I checked, no, the Buddha is not an annihilist." And he's like, "No, the book says that he's an annihilist." So I said, "Well, okay, well, but who wrote that book?" You know, I asked him, "Is that person a Buddhist, an expert in Buddhism, like, you know?" And then he got him to think. And what happened was, we ended up standing exactly where we were for 2 hours. Yeah, I literally stood there, and he stood there. Oh wait, sorry, I got the front cut a bit off. I did go out for a short walk, and I actually lay down on one of the US mountain summits, and then I was going to come down. He was going up. He's the one who was going up. I remember someone was going up. He was the one who was going up. And then we ended up spending the next 2 hours. I was going to go down and continue my day. Then I got stuck there for 2 hours. But it was a good stuck. Yeah, because at the end of the 2 hours, his sunglasses was down, his hands was open, and he decided not to have his walk. He decided to walk me down. And as he was walking down, he told me, he said, "You remind me of the Benedictine monks, which is from the Christian order." Yeah. And I said, "Well, okay." I take that as a compliment. Yeah. I wasn't trying to make him a Buddhist, but I would say that 2 hours was well spent, at least as someone who got to know Buddhism a bit better, perhaps. Yeah. So I never shy away from confrontations or people with misconception, and none of you should. Yeah. Even if you are not a monk or nun for that matter. You don't need to be a monk or nun. And you don't need, you may say, "Oh, Pasifu, you know so much now." No, it's not about that. You don't need to know everything about Buddhism to address it. Yeah. You just don't need to act like you know everything. the first thing I would say is at least to listen to what they have to say. Then don't take it personally. If you take it personally, that's it. All hell breaks loose. So keep the conversation going. Keep the questions coming. And I'll see you all again next week. No, not next week. Next week. All right. Go and ask questions, answer questions. 愿消三障诸烦恼，愿得智慧真明了，普愿罪障悉消除，世世常行菩萨道。阿弥陀佛，起立。